with my finger here, with my nail.
That's what I wanted to know.
I want to hurt myself, yeah.
Bruises and cuts on his head, 6 games in a row without a win, a humiliating defeat at Tottenham, and right after that, letting Feyenoord draw after leading 3-0 in the 75th minute. Can someone tell me what the is happening with Pep Guardiola? Well, lucky you, because today we'll be answering all your burning questions about Man City's disastrous form, Pep's psychological state, and most importantly, what they need to do to get back in business. First and foremost, let's start with Rodri's absence. Now, feel free to mock my ball knowledge in the comments section, but how on earth can all these pundits and specialists claim that Rodri is the one and only reason for the poor run?
When actually City are the Rodri team. Without him, they're shapeless, they're rudderless, they're leaderless, and they don't have anybody to protect that back four.
Yes, of course, many of you remember that interview from Guardiola right after the ACL injury that Rodri suffered in late September, when the Catalan said,
If we don't win, it's because we miss Rodri.
Do you have more confidence that you can cope?
There's no one day in the last years that I was not confident. Of course, we are stronger with him.
But hey, here he is, certainly not speaking with the clear idea that there is even the slightest chance of bad form. You know, Guardiola has always treated journalists with humour, often saying things just to take the pressure off. It is, in fact, Pep's trademark when it comes to media appearance. Anyway, Man City was super successful before Rodri and will continue to be so after his departure. Of course, after this dismal run of results for Guardiola, many have gone back in time almost 4 years to the 2021 Champions League final when City faced Chelsea. Back then, the Catalan specialist was remembered for overthinking everything ahead of the final and opting to play without a natural defensive midfielder. Yes, Fernandinho was still in the squad, but Rodri had already become the go-to man in that role, and many were surprised he didn't record a single minute that night. Yes, when you put it like that, you realise how influential and fundamental Rodri is to the teams he plays for. Of course, arguments can be made the other way round, such as the final of this summer's Euro against England. Rodri was injured in the first half and had to be substituted at the break, with long-time Barcelona and Liverpool target Martin Zubimendi coming on in his place. Well, the Real Sociedad man did so well that many even claimed that he did better than Rodri. So yeah, the big takeaway for this topic is that Rodri is extremely important, but he is not the reason for these 5 consecutive losses in all competitions, as well as the humiliation against Feyenoord at the Etihad. Just a quick disclaimer that by the time this video is uploaded, Man City may already have lost to Liverpool, so the loss total may even be higher. To find other clues to Guardiola's unprecedented poor form, however, we probably need to focus on the defence, because that is where Man City's biggest problems lie. Because 17 goals conceded in 6 games, that's an average of almost 3 goals per game, which is mental. During Guardiola's reign, we have become accustomed to talking about Man City as one of the most defensively sound teams in the Premier League. However, over the last 2 seasons or so, things have gone from bad to worse. Starting with the 19-20 season, when City lost the title, they conceded 35 goals. Fair enough, right? Well, over the next 2 seasons, Man City got better and better in that regard, conceding 32 in 2021 and 26 in 2022. The latter was particularly successful, as City managed an astonishing 21 clean sheets together with those 26 goals conceded. This was undoubtedly prime Pep ball, especially when it came to defending. In the following 2 seasons, 22-23 and 23-24, when Man City won the title again, the defensive record dropped with 13 clean sheets in each campaign, not even breaking the 15 mark. And so we arrive at the disastrous 24-25, when Man City kept just 2 clean sheets in 12 games. Well, that's crazy, really. Not even a third of the season's total, and City have already conceded half as many goals as they did in all of 23-24, 17 so far compared to those 34 they conceded last year. Now, before we continue with the biggest factors for this, a quick reminder for you to subscribe to the channel. It's completely free, but it would mean a lot to us. Thank you. Interestingly, though, the players are exactly the same. Every single defender from last season's squad is still at the Etihad. So where is the problem? Is it the aging of certain players? Is it a decline in individual form? or perhaps a lack of tactical direction from the manager? The answer could be any number of things, but with all due respect to Kyle Walker, I feel that he is probably the player most responsible for the poor defensive form. Don't get me wrong, Walker's pace has always been impressive. He's matched some of the paciest wingers in the world, Vinny Jr., Mbappe, Martinelli, Heung-min Son, some of them not so long ago. He even has a very strong PR. We all remember when former teammate Riyad Mahrez publicly asked him who could beat him 1v1.
You know, he plays against a lot of wingers every week from everywhere. But who did actually beat you in 1v1, Kyle? Who?
I don't know.
In the world, who beat you 1v1? Mbappe? Neymar?
Me when I was at Villa.
Adama?
Jack?
Me when I was at Aston Villa, that's why Pep signed me.
Or also that time when Grealish asked Thierry Henry if he would have taken on Walker in his prime.
Can I ask you one question?
Go on.
Your best position, yeah, was like on the left.
Everywhere, man.
Yeah, no.
Wait, let's go back.
Off the left. Do you reckon you'd take him on? Seriously?
In my prime?
In your prime?
All day! Why don't you say that?
Yes, Henry's response is priceless, but these funny videos are actually a visual representation of the players' and fans' opinions on Walker's ability in 1v1s in open spaces, where Kyle can really unleash his speed. This is where he thrives the most. On the other hand, however, when it comes to defensive positioning and awareness, Walker really does lag behind. Let's recall one of the brightest situations in which he was involved this season. In the 93rd minute against Tottenham in the Premier League, Timo Werner received the ball around the halfway line, while Walker was about 15 yards away from him in the Man City half. A second later, as Werner picks up speed with the ball, Walker continues to jog, as if doing his jogging in the park. And then, another second or two, Walker accelerates sharply, but it's already too late, as Werner crosses for Brennan Johnson at the far post. 4-0 to Spurs, and another terrible mistake by the Man City defence. Yes, you can't ignore the fact that Werner is fresh here, having come on a few minutes earlier, while Walker had been on the pitch for 92 minutes. That's an absolute fact. But given that he obviously managed to show great speed but already too late, it proves that Walker actually had enough energy to cope with Werner, but it is his poor decision-making that screws everything up. Apart from that, if you're still wondering why he is the one I'm pointing the finger at, well, Kyle Walker is the only defender, along with Guardiola, to have played in all three of their Premier League defeats so far. Yes, the Croatians' individual errors have also frayed Guardiola's nerves, but those mistakes are a product of low concentration, not inability to cope properly. Oh, and while we're on the subject of Guardiola's nerves, let's not forget the man himself. During the Feyenoord game, Pep was shown in close-ups with cuts on his head. In the press conference afterwards, he was asked about them and answered in the creepiest way possible, with a weird smile on his face that we've never seen before. He said, "I want to harm myself," and left the press room. The next day, apparently accused of inciting self-harm and suicidal thoughts, Pep Guardiola shared an Instagram story apologising for his words. Yes, as you can see, Man City have not been in a very good place in recent weeks, which raises a lot of questions, the most important of which is, so what's next for City? Well, the first and most important thing is to bring in a defensive midfielder, obviously. Interestingly, when it comes to the reasons for City's struggles, much of the blame should lie with the management. For a long time, Guardiola's Man City have been known as the team with an exceptionally deep bench. They have top players for 2 or even 3 squads. Yet in the last 2 years, the only defensive midfielder, not named Calvin Phillips, to feature for the citizens is Rodri. See where the problem is? The management have strengthened every single unit in the team except arguably the most important one. Speaking of Phillips, perhaps it wouldn't have been a bad idea to keep him at the Etihad in the summer. He may have done a decent job in the current difficult period. However, the experiments with Kovacic and Gundogan in those deep areas didn't work either, so we'll probably see a new name at the Etihad in the winter. The player most in demand in this regard is undoubtedly the aforementioned Zubimendi. Yes, City have the money and will probably try their luck with him, but Martin's love for Sociedad knows no bounds. And besides, we haven't seen such high-profile mid-season moves in recent years because it doesn't make sense. So have your say, who is the one you want at the Etihad as Rodri's replacement? Or maybe the problem with City is somewhere else? Is Haaland in the worst form of his career so far, and that makes City incapable to compete? Share with us down below. And also don't forget to like and subscribe, or just check out our video about another struggling player, Arda Güler. Take care, and until next time.